Okay, so today we're going to go over Unit 3, Day 5 notes, which is basically talking about sequence. This is or sequences. This is the last lesson for Unit 3. Um, so a sequence is basically a list of things, usually numbers, that are in order. Okay? Now, an example of sequence is 3, 5, 7, 9. This is considered the first term, second term, third term, and this is considered the fourth term. Now, these three dots means infinite. It goes on forever. If you notice the sequence, this pattern goes on forever, okay? Now, let's go ahead and move on to the first type of sequences we're going to look at, which involved a recursive formula. Now, anytime I see the word recursive, I think about repeat, okay? Because I'm repeating a pattern. Now, the only thing that's going to get us in these problems is the notation. So, let's go ahead and identify what each notation means, okay? Now, the A little n in my mind, when I look at these problems, means y. A little n minus 1 means x, okay? So anytime you see a's of n, that means y. A's of n minus 1 is x, okay? So if you look at problem 1 through 4, it says find the first 5 terms of the sequence, okay? Well, they're telling me that my function or my pattern is a's of n equals 3 plus a's of n minus 1. Well, here's the thing. Instead of this a's of n, I'm going to put y, because I said that was equal to y, equals 3 plus, and then a's of n minus 1 becomes x. Okay? So this becomes y, that becomes x. So now if you notice, my pattern is to add 3. Now they're telling you that a's of 1 is your first number. Okay? Your second number will be a's of 2. Your third number will be a's of 3. Your fourth number is a's of 4. And your fifth number is a's of 5. Okay? So the a's of 1, a's of 2, that just tells you what number it is, okay? And you really don't have to write it after this point. So let's start with negative 10. So they're saying that this is my x, and I'm going to plug it in here. So I'm going to do 3 plus, instead of the x, I'm going to put parentheses, and in goes negative 10. So 3 plus negative 10 is negative 7. So that's my second number. Now I'm going to take that number, and I'm going to repeat by plugging it in. So 3 plus negative 7 is negative 4. So that's my third number. Okay, keep going. 3 plus negative 4 equals negative 1. That's my fourth number. And then we'll do 3 plus negative 1 gives me positive 1. Correct? I think so. Oh no, it gives me 2. So that's my fifth number. 2. So my pattern for these for this sequence is negative 5, negative 7, negative 4, negative 1, positive 2. And of course I will put dot 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 because that goes on forever. Okay. Now let's move on. Number 2. If you notice, my equation is a's of n equals 3x. So instead of the a's of n, I'm going to put y equals 3. And instead of the a's of n minus 1, it becomes x. So my pattern is X. So they're telling me that my first number is 1. Okay? My first number in the pattern is 1. So I need to find 5 different patterns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So let's do this. And they're telling me that I'm multiplying by 2 because they're saying 3 times each number. So let's do this. 1 times 3, 3. 3 times 3, 9. 9 times 3, 27. 27 times 3, 81. And there's my pattern. And of course I will put dots to indicate that it's going forever. Now, these two are basically the same problem. The only difference is that one, I kept just plugging in the number into the equation. So I wrote out the equation over and over again, okay? Here, I'm not going to write out the equation. I just quickly did the operation, okay? Either way, it's the same way. Just choose whichever one you prefer and go with it. Okay. Let's look at the next one. Instead of the a sub n, it's going to be y equals 1/4. And instead of a sub n minus 1, it becomes x. Okay? So now, they're telling me that a sub 0 is 64. So that means even before the first term, okay? The first is right here. Second, third, fourth, and so on, okay? This is the 0. That doesn't count as the first because the first has to say a sub 1. So this one, they give you the number before the first term in the sequence. So, but we can still do it the same way, okay? So, 64 times 1/4 is just basically 16. 16 times 1/4 is 4. 4 times 1/4 is 1. 1 times 1/4 is 1/4. And then, of course, it keeps going. Now, here I only found 4 numbers. They asked me to find 5. I didn't have any space, so I just stopped on the 4th, okay? This first number, 64, doesn't count as the actual first number of the sequence. It's the 0 term of the sequence. Okay, so technically, I was supposed to have found 1 more. Okay, we're going to skip number 4 and go directly to number 6. Now it says, a sequence is defined by the equation a sub 1 equals 6 and a sub n minus equals 2 times a sub n minus 1. What is the 5th term? So they're telling me I'm starting with 6. That's my starting point. And they want the 5th term. So that's first, second, third, fourth, 5th. And they're telling me that my equation is that. So really I'm saying y equals 2x, okay? Because this becomes x and this is y. So they're saying I'm multiplying by 2. So let's do this. 6 times 2, 12. 12 times 2, 24. 24 times 2, 48. 48 times 2, 96. So there's my 5th term, 96. So it will be D. Okay? Now looking at number 7. A sequence is defined by that. What is the 7th term? Well, this is y equals x plus 4, okay? Because this is your x. This is your y. So let's go ahead, and our pattern is adding 4 to the x. So let's start with negative 8. Add 4. That will be negative 4. And then add 4. That will be 0. Add 4. That will be 4. Add 4. That will be 8. Add 4. That will be 12. Add 4, that will be 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the 7th term is 16. Okay? If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask me in class. But go ahead and flip to the next page. Now, this explicit function, it's a little bit different. Now, with the recursive, we kept repeating the pattern by applying it to the same number. Okay? But here with the explicit, we have to actually plug in the term number, not the actual term, okay? So to explain is, I always, whenever I see the word explicit or see anything that says the nth term, I think about table, okay? So I need to make myself a table. So I need a table for the first number, second number, third number, fourth number, fifth number, okay? So we're basically, the difference between the ones we just did and these is that instead of them giving us the first number and we're using that first number to find the next number and use that number to find the next number, here they didn't give us the first number at all. So what I need to do is plug in 1, because I'm looking for the first term, into my equation. So instead of the n, I'm going to put in 1. So 1 plus 5 is 6. Now I want the second number, so I'm going to plug in 2 into that same equation. So 2 plus 5 is 7. I want the third number, so the third number will be 3 plus 5, which is 8. I want the fourth number, so I will do 4 plus 5, which is 9. And I want the fifth number, which is 5 plus 5 is 10. So there's my sequence, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and of course it goes on forever. Now let's do another one. Using the function a of n equals 5n plus 5, find the first 5 terms. Okay, so there's that explicit function. So I need to create myself a table. I know the first number, I need the second number, third, fourth, fifth. So if I want the first number, n goes 1. So 5 times 1 plus 5. That gives me 10. I want the second number. And 2 goes into that n, which is 15. I want the third number. That will be 20. I want the fourth number. That will be 25. I want the fifth number. N goes 5. So 5 times 5 is 25 plus 5 is 30. So there's my sequence. And of course, it could keep going. Now that we understand what explicit functions are, you're basically just putting in the term number, like the actual term location. Let's see if we can take a sequence and actually create a function. Okay, now if you know this 10, 15, 20, 25, that's the sequence right there. And we already know the equation, so when we solve this, we should get that same equation. So let's see if we do. Now, I will start by creating myself a table. And my sequence is 10, 15, 20, 25. And that will be the first number, second number, third, and fourth. Okay? So this is a table, and they're asking me to create a function. We know how to create a function, and we know the only way we know is by doing stat edit. Or if you want to do it without the calculator, you can do finding the slope and then finding the letter B to write your linear equation. So anyways, L1 is your top row, L2 is your bottom row. If you want to turn it sideways, just know that it's the first, this one right here is your first column, and then this one right here is your second column, okay? So anyways, go to Stats, Edit, and you're going to type in 1, 2, 3, 4 for the first line. Second line will be 10, 15, 20, 25. Now you go to Stat, calculate option number 4, and you get that equation, which of course will be y equals 5x plus 5, or you can say f of x equals 5x plus 5. But basically, if you notice this equation and that one, they're identical, okay? So let's do number 7. Now it says a sequence is shown below. What is the explicit formula for the nth term? So those keywords tell me that I need to create a table and type it into my stat edit. Okay? So I need to do first, second, third, fourth. So it's 32, 26, 20, 14. So that's my table. So remember, the top one is L1, the second line is L2. So go to Stat, Edit, and it's going to be 32, 26, 20, 14. Then go to Stat, Calculate, option number 4, enter, enter, enter. And I get negative 6, 38. So that means it will be f of x equals negative 6x plus 38. And if you match that up to one of these equations, you will get answer choice C. Okay? So just to review, if you get anything like this that looks like this, or they use the word recursive, okay? Anything that has like this, and they give you the first term, you know that you're doing a recursive, which means repeat whatever the pattern is. Apply the pattern over and over again. If you get anything like this, where they're asking you to write an explicit function, it says anything about the nth term, then you know you're talking about an explicit. So you're going to have to create a table. Okay? If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask me in class the next day.